Hello and welcome to our Fit for Success podcast. My name is Kristen Nolan. I'm a high performance health expert and speaker for busy professional women and men. And today I'm interviewing Bari Baumgardner, who is CEO of Sage Event Management. Today's interview is for you if you are an entrepreneur who's currently hosting or thinking about hosting your own events and you want some winning tips to learn how to keep your endurance and your energy high before, during, and after your event and how to monetize these events. So Barry is also the CEO of Sage Event Management. They do event planning, consulting, and management for huge clients like Jeff Walker, Lisa Sakovich, and Health Coach Institute. Barry's specialty is in event production and monetization. And I know that we are also streaming this interview from the Sage Facebook page, the Sage Event Management Facebook page. So I want to welcome all of the followers from this Facebook page. Thank you for joining us today. And Barry, let me welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I was just sitting here thinking as you were talking, how long have we known each other? I was trying to remember back when we first met.
Oh my God. I think maybe, more seriously since the Suzanne Evans event that I was
Sponsor.
sponsoring. Yeah, so that was about 1.5 years ago.
Yes, I so remember that. Well, I'm so delighted to be here. I love you and the work you're doing. And the topic we're going to talk about today is so, so important. Like we believe in this to our core at Sage. So can't wait to chat with you and update your audience on what we think is really working on the event side for keeping hosts in their best possible place so that they can have their best possible live event.
That's amazing. And I know you work with the best. So that's why I'm so excited to have you on the show. So, first of all, Barry, tell our audience a little bit more about the work you're doing to help your clients put on 6- and 7-figure virtual and live events.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the interesting thing for most of the hosts that come to us and are interested in working with Sage, they come to us because they already have a thriving business. They're already speaking. They may or may not already be hosting their own live events. They have a great, product. They've got a tribe following. They have all these things going for them. And when they come to Sage, they're generally looking to us to really harness the power of the live event to continue building with their tribe, connecting with their tribe, getting their message out there, increasing their visibility and their credibility using the live event platform. And they're also looking to monetize it. At Sage, one of the things we really believe in is if you're putting all these people in a room together, sales is service. And so generally we're making some kind of offer at our live events, which we really see as our highest service. We put all these people in a room together. We're giving them tons of amazing content, giving them all these great information that they can take home and put into use on their own. But 9 times out of 10, halfway through the event, that same audience starts to question whether they can do it when they get home. And so most often we will make some kind of offer that allows them to continue to work with the host, whether it's through a mastermind or a group program or a special product offering. So it's interesting. I mean, the Sage team has to be in their best health because live events are no small thing. We're up at 5 in the morning, we're downstairs by 6. Events in our world often go until 9 or 10 at night. Then we have a quick huddle to recap everything, and then we're back to it again. And most of our events are 3-day events. So it's a pretty intense week. So we have to really think about our energy and what we're doing to protect ourselves. And then our hosts are pretty amazing people in and of their own right, but still, it's no small thing to get on a stage and teach for 3 full days. And so, we're constantly thinking about what we can do to help our live event hosts be the best they can be, which is kind of where we're headed with our topic today. It's just how important it is to have both your event team and your event host and their team really be in their best possible place so that they can have the best possible live event so they can provide the best possible support to their audience. They're all tied in together.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I've seen the Sage Event Management team in action, and they are amazing. I have never seen anything like it. You guys are so on your mental and your physical game. I mean, anytime I needed anything, I've actually even worked directly with the Sage Event Management team. Anytime I've needed anything, it's like somebody is there getting it to me before I even ask. It's just kind of incredible. You guys are mind readers, and I know how hard you work. So just fabulous team to work with. So tell me this, Bari, I know that you're constantly on the road. I mean, we could barely get this interview scheduled, and you're helping CEOs host these fabulous 3 days events. What do you see as being, some of the top success secrets that your clients are using to keep their energy high and make it through these events so that they close more sales? What are some of these secrets that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's one of the first things I think is so critical is you cannot have a completely unhealthy host, an unhealthy lifestyle, and then come into the live event for 3 days and then all of a sudden be like, I'm committed to my health. I'm going to eat and drink and, sleep and do all these things for these 3 days. Like, I personally don't believe that works all that well. And so, we're always thinking with the host, how healthy can they be leading into the event? And for so many of our hosts, this is a lifestyle, and so they're really in tune with this. But if you're out there and you're thinking about hosting a live event, you're just starting to dip your toe into the waters, or it's in the future for you, short or long term, you've been dancing around the idea of having a live event, or you've had them and you're trying to grow them, all kind of the same continuum here, meaning that your health is penultimate. Like, it's really critical for you that you're thinking well in advance, how can you be at your healthiest? How can you get your best sleep? How can you be eating healthy? Are you fully hydrated? Are you trying anything new? If you're about to go into a live event, that is the absolute worst time to 3 days before my live event, I'm going to do a cleanse, and I've never done a cleanse before. Like, this is not a good idea, right? So you really want to be thinking about, we recommend 6 months before your live event is when you want to start your planning. I also think 6 months before your live event is when you really want to be doing what I would call like a health audit, like an audit and assessment of where you are. Like, how good are you feeling? How slept are you? How hydrated are you? How is the food you're eating serving you? Are you exercising? Do you have time for meditation or quiet time? Like, you need all of these things because in many ways, running a live event is a sport, right? I mean, it is an endurance sport, meaning that it is going to test you to your very limits. And so if you're feeling super unhealthy, if you're not very rested, if you're not putting great foods into your body, if you're not exercising to kind of, get those toxins out and bring healthy, great energy in, it's going to be 10 times harder for you as a host than it would be for one of our hosts who, devotes themselves to, a healthy lifestyle so that they can also have a really healthy event. So we often say at Sage, an event is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And if you were prepping for a marathon, like a real true life marathon, you wouldn't just wake up the day of the marathon and be like, I'm going to do this today. I haven't been prepping and training at all. I'm just going to go run this marathon. You have to lead into that by, putting the proper pieces in place to really build up your physical and mental endurance, and know that it isn't just physical. It's also mental. It's a mindset game. So all of these things tie in together. You wouldn't do it in a sport, and you shouldn't try and do it with a live event. And Kristen, you've devoted your life to this, so you know how important this is, but it's really, really critical. You can't overlook the importance of being healthy, contributing to a healthy live event, and that healthy live event environment contributing to your attendees, getting the best possible input from you, best possible experience with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I have so much to say about what you just said. It was beautifully put. Really, really amazingly put, because I'm always telling my entrepreneurial clients about these things, to not wait till the last minute. And absolutely, you have to make sure that you're prepping your body in advance for these events, which are strenuous mentally, emotionally, and physically. So taking in components, that you can use from meditation to help with your mental state, from, nutrition to help with your energy, and from movement to help with your posture, your state of confidence, all these things, your mindset, are critical when you're trying to put on a live event that actually touches people's lives, and I think too, it's like, if you are in an unhealthy state, in the back of your mind, you're constantly going to be thinking about that. Like, gosh, I don't feel as slim as I'd like to. I don't feel as energized as I'd like to. And all these little voices, when you're supposed to be, being present with the audience. So, in fact, can you tell us, have you seen the difference between a healthy host and an unhealthy host? You don't have to obviously name any names, but have you experienced the two, live and in person, and seen the impact that it's made on an audience before?
Yeah, I really have. It's one of, if we're taking on a new client and it's our first time working together, it's one of the first things I notice is like, what is their stamina and what is their ability to stay focused and provide the proper amount of attention on our calls leading into the event and on site at the event. And it's directly related to how healthy the lifestyle they're leading is. So if there is not a moment in their day for quiet thought, they come to the calls harried and unprepared, they're not as productive. And same exact thing happens with the live event. If you come into your live event, not feeling rested, feeling harried, on this crazy adrenal high that's superficial, and you're not feeling your best, it's really hard to be supremely focused. And you're kind of going back to that point of an event as a marathon, not a sprint. You can maintain that for, like, let's say the first day, you're on this, big high, you've got this adrenaline rush because it's the first day of the live event, and you've been planning for 6 months to a year to put this on. But by the time you get to the end of day 2 and you still have a day to go, we have this joke, they're like, the lights are on, but nobody's home. It's like you really start to feel that. You can see that with the host. And I've been with the host where literally, I'm having a conversation with them, back in the green room, saying, I can feel your energy is really low right now, and the audience is going to be able to feel that too. What do we need right now to kind of prop you up and get you into your best place so that you can go out there and bring this energy to the stage, because the audience is feeding on that. Like, you have to be able to bring that. And keep in mind, as a live event host, you're giving out energy and you're absorbing energy. So there's this energy exchange constantly happening as you put energy out and you receive energy. And it can be a real high, but it also can be extremely exhausting. And for the host who's not in their best physical, mental, emotional, spiritual shape, you can really start to see it take its toll around day 2. And in our world, on the 3-day event, day 2 is like where we're just getting started. Some of the most important things that happen at the live event happen the afternoon and evening of day 2 and the morning of day 3. And you really want to close on a high. At the end of that event, you want to be feeling your best and delivering your best so that you can send people off with a really positive energy around, having spent that 3 days with you. And you can't do that if you're exhausted. So the host who hasn't properly prepared, we can absolutely see it and feel it, and the audience can too. And the host who has prepared and knows that it's a marathon and has been training for it, is in their best possible mental, physical, emotional shape, they're at the end of it, it's kind of like a marathon. If you ever see a marathoner, like using this analogy, the person who barely made it through the marathon is, crawling across the finish line and, is in so much pain, they're in tears, versus the person who's kind of like, going right across and like doing a big high five. And, you can tell they have mentally and physically prepared for that run. And while it was, a big deal, a marathon's no small thing, they're kind of cruising over the finish line versus crawling over it. And if you're hosting your live event, you want to be cruising through it, not crawling through it. And it's really, really hard to bring that A game if you're not in your best physical shape.
Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting is just, I even notice it with my personal coaches. I've had coaches in the past where I could tell like they weren't fueling themselves properly because they were totally loopy during our calls, and I just felt them being just scatterbrained, and I'm paying a ton of money to be with them. So for me, it's very unacceptable as a student, which is another reason that I really wanted to create this podcast and coach entrepreneurs to show up as their best physical selves for their life's work. Because as a student of, many coaches' works, I expect that, especially if I'm investing a lot in the coach that I'm working with. So it's amazing that you've really seen the difference live up close in person. And I know, somebody who does an amazing job at staying at the top of their mental and physical game is Lisa Sakovich. I mean, I see her, at the end of these 3-day marathons, standing with a ton of energy in the front of the room and hugging pretty much every participant that wants a hug and a photo at the end of the event. And then she's all lively and excited after the event is over. So that's somebody who I personally admire, and I know is doing the things that she needs to do to take care of herself.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, I think Lisa's such a great example. She's been a client of ours for 6 years now, and I am amazed by how she shows up for live events. I mean, if you look at her, she is extremely fit. I mean, you could tell this is a woman who, works out as a way of life. You know, she's got incredible tone to her body. You know, working out is extremely important to her. And you're right, at the end of the live event, I hope I'm not divulging too much, but generally her plan at the end of a live event is she and her fiance, soon to be husband, have a really amazing night plan to go do something incredibly fun to celebrate the live event. That's a complete difference from a host who's like, I need to go to my room and crash because I'm absolutely exhausted from the last 3 days. And so, really approaching this, we have this saying hashtag event life. Like if you're committing yourself to event life, Lisa doesn't start working out the week before the event. This is a way of life for her. And she's another great example from the perspective that we just did this live event with her a couple of weeks ago, and she showed up and she'd gotten this terrible cold, so she shows up and she's like, I can't believe this. I have this live event, and I've got the sniffles, and I've got this crazy like congestion going on, and it's not like I can sub somebody in and tag out, right? I mean, people came to see her. This is her live event, and I won't say that she didn't suffer through that. No one loves to be doing a 3-day live event and have a cold at the same time, but she was able to do that entire 3 days and did not skip a beat. And on top of the intensity of the 3 days, and we were introducing some new things at this live event. So in addition to the regular energy, we needed some additional energy because we were introducing some breakouts and some fun new things that we don't do before. And even with all of that, she was able to cruise through the 3 days. We all had dinner together, had a really great night out that last night, and you wouldn't have even known. If you just walked into the restaurant where we were, no one would have had any idea that this is a woman who had just stood on stage for 3 days and fought a cold and, made this incredible offer to her audience and, really brought it for 400 plus people in the room. And again, she cruised through the finish line. And so much of this is, she is really strict about, and I think this is true of any event host. I'm using Lisa as an example, but I think you can carry this through for anybody that I would say is hugely successful in our industry, is that she has an incredible food routine. Like she's super, super healthy in her eating. She has an incredible workout routine. She's super, super healthy in making sure the workouts are woven into a regular day-to-day activity for her. She's incredibly smart about her sleep, and she's making sure that she's getting a good night's sleep every night. That is built into our schedule to make sure that that's protected and preserved. Like you do not want to be planning on during your live event, I'll pull an all-nighter if I need to. Like that's the worst possible plan that you can have. So she's getting a really great night's sleep, and then she's always super hydrated. I mean, one of our rules, and this is true for many of our event hosts, is there's water on the stage and there's water waiting when she comes off. Making sure that she's staying really hydrated is an incredible part of this, an important part of this. And then there's another little piece of that hydration routine. And again, this is true for most of our hosts who are really bringing their A game. There is no drinking during the live event. So this is not the time to be relaxing with a glass of wine at the end of the night. It can interfere with sleep and interfere with how productive and focused you are. So, one of the things that we do typically recommend is, a no drinking policy during the event, because as much as it is fun to relax and have a glass of wine or a cocktail, it also really shifts your mental mindset and can also change your physical mindset's not the right word, but physical attributes as well. You're not going to, even though it might temporarily make you feel a little bit better, for the bigger picture of the long term, it's not worth the cost.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. I mean, for my personal speaking gigs that are only 90 minutes, I will not drink a week before I talk. I just won't do it because I want to make sure that my brain is completely clear. And now that might be overkill, but I know that I don't want to think back on anything I did the week before and wonder if it impacted my performance. So for me, I'm very strict about that. And also,
you'd been drinking, or would you want to have a doctor work on you who'd been drinking? No. And so if you're really approaching like your profession, right? This isn't a hobby, and that's the other thing about this. Like if you're committing yourself to event life, it's not just something you're doing every now and then. You are putting yourself out there as a speaker, you're putting yourself out there as a live event host, or you're building your monetization strategy around hosting live events. you approach this like an athlete, like a profession, and you have to basically, do all the steps that go along with that. And that includes being your best physical, mental, emotional, spiritual shape. And certainly drinking, would tie into that. Doesn't mean you can't drink ever if you're an event host, but certainly it wouldn't be recommended, in the week before your event and certainly during your event.
No, I think if I was about to host a 3-day event, I'd probably cut myself off a month before, for sure. I'm pretty strict about that with myself. So let's kind of backtrack a little bit and talk about you, Barry. God, I mean, I know you're constantly traveling for work. You're on these, 4 to 5 day sprints on site for your clients, starting at 5 a.m. in the morning, right? You're ready to go by 6, but you're getting up, getting everything ready to go by 6, and then at night you end around 9, 10 o'clock. Most entrepreneurs who have a schedule like yours would have zero clue how you do it. So give us the rundown. How do you manage to keep your body healthy and energized? And what tips can you give our audience so that they can do the same?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, interestingly, it's not all that different from what we recommend for our event host. I mean, events are our profession. They're not a hobby for us. It's why it's what motivates us. We eat, drink, live, sleep, live events. And so we also have very similar rules. I mean, not only me, but our team, you won't find us drinking on site. Generally that is not going to bring your best A game to having an early morning and a late night. Now, we do like to celebrate on the last night of an event. We think that, job well done deserves a celebration. So you'll find us at a really great restaurant having an amazing meal and a couple cocktails to celebrate a job well done. But generally when we're at an event, in order for us to be our most healthy, we're really looking at the snacks we put into our body. We're really looking at the food we serve. And, at Sage, we're typically constructing buffets, not just for our team, but for the event team as well. We're big believers that a team that's well hydrated and well fed is a well-oiled machine, and it's going to bring, do a better job on site. So we work on having healthy breakfast in the morning, healthy lunch buffets, healthy dinner buffets for the team, for our team and the client team. For that very reason, it matters so much what you're putting into your body. So if you have, the choice between something highly sugared or something more natural, that's going to be the better choice. Between a white rice and a whole grain, the whole grain is going to be the better choice. Between an apple with some, Justin's, peanut butter on it, or having a cookie, the apple with the protein, the natural protein is going to be better. So we're always taking a look at that, and to the best of our ability, we try and weave it into our life too. Recently, this is kind of an interesting thing. So I was skiing in February with friends and family, and I tore my MCL. And so I was right in the middle of a big workout routine and trying to get rid of 10 pounds that I put on through the fall live event season, and a little too much fun on a 2-week trip to Paris over Christmas. And so I put on a few pounds, and so I'm like really into like, how can I lose the 10 pounds I know I need to lose and get really back in shape for the spring event season, which is pretty intense. So I'm skiing and I tear my MCL, and it would have been a much worse injury if I wasn't in good physical shape, but luckily it was a pretty minor tear, and one of the things I can do is I can ride the bike. So my immediate investment was I got a Peloton for home, and I love the Peloton because I can basically do my Soul Cycle classes from the comfort of my own house every day, but also I can take that app with me on the road. And so I'm building into my live event days, how can I make that quick trip to the gym so I can be on the bike, so I can rehab this injury, and so I can drop those pounds I've put on, and so I can be my best self. Because, you're right, for us, we're up early, we're there late, you need to be in good physical shape, but you also need to be in good mental shape. And I think physical endurance and mental endurance really tie in together. And of course, what you're putting in your body to fuel it is going to make a big difference in whether you're having a crash in the middle of the afternoon or whether you're kind of, just cruising through the day.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. In fact, so the three components that I train all my entrepreneurial clients on are metabolism, mood, and movement. And it, I have a little, yeah, I have a little symbol. I mean, they're all in a triangle. Say
Metabolism,
that again.
mood, walk me through that. Now you have to train me on this. So the metabolism piece is what?
So the metabolism piece are the food combinations that you're eating frequently throughout the day to keep your energy high and your cravings low. Okay.
Yeah.
So making sure that you're balancing meals appropriately and eating enough to fuel your body for your given activity. So that's going to vary a little bit depending on if you're having a day sitting at a desk versus running around at a live event and on your feet all day, right? The two are very different strategies. You'll probably need more meals on the day that you're running around on your feet. So that's metabolism. The second one is mood. So finding strategies to relax, focus, so that you can let go of extra protective weight. Because what I found is that when, especially with entrepreneur clients, I call them busy Betties. So they're the total type A's. They're doing everything to please everyone. And, they're working out maybe and they're eating really healthy, but some of them still aren't dropping weight. And one of the biggest reasons I've found is because they are under so much mental stress. So by setting aside time to relax and let go, whether that's visualization, meditation, gratitude practice, taking a walk and clearing your mind, whatever that personal strategy is for you, I have them practice that anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes a day. And of course, in with that whole thing is sleep. And then the last component is movement. So doing a minimum of 10 minutes of intentional movement daily to increase mobility in your joints and flexibility so that you can activate your muscles to their fullest capacity so they can be toned. And I say intentional movement because so many times, people are going to a workout class or they're doing stuff on their own and they're doing all this stuff, but they're thinking about what they're going to have for dinner or thinking about that client thing that didn't go right. And the more you focus on the muscles you're conditioning, the faster your body will respond and you'll see that tone develop. So those are the three components: metabolism, mood, and movement.
Absolutely. So I'm just curious now, what would be your favorite form of movement? Like if you were recommending something you've seen our team in action as a sponsor, as an attendee, and as an extension of the team, as an extension of the client team. What would you recommend for a live event host for, introducing some movement?
Yeah. So one of the best things that I found, actually, I'll give you two things, is circular joint conditioning, because when you unlock your joints, mobile joints create strength and excellent posture. Jammed up joints, like you get from sitting at a computer all day, create weakness. And when I'm doing a live event, when I'm speaking at a live event, I'll actually pull somebody up to demo this with me. I'll compress one of their joints and I'll test their strength, and they get weak on the spot. So doing things and by the way, also doing these circular movements, they help to feed your frontal lobe. So all that signaling comes into the back bottom part of your brain, and it helps to feed your frontal lobe with clear thoughts. So that's the other really cool thing about circular joint conditioning. The second thing that I recommend is eye training, so vision training. And the reason that I recommend that so highly is because, again, like let's say that you're sitting at a desk like this and, you're sitting there for a long period of time, your neck starts going forward because your eyes start getting tired. When you do eye training, you're able to straighten your posture much better. When you see better, you're stronger. I had a client who I was working with recently, and we could not do any strength training movements because her back would seize up instantly. As soon as we had her do a couple eye exercises, boom, her back would free up and we could get to the training. So it's so interesting what these two techniques can do for your health and your strength and your ability to feel athletic. Does that make sense?
It does. I love that. Every time I'm with you, I learn something new. I'm going to be reaching out to you after this to learn more about that. I love that. And especially the eye training. That's such an important component. And if you think about it, I know for our team and for our client teams, we spend so much time at our desk and so much time on our computers and on the phone. Consulting is a big part of our life. Strategy and consulting, a big part of what we do here at Sage. And certainly for most of our event hosts, it's a big piece of it. So that's something I hadn't even really thought of before that I think is really critical. Is like, what is your work at home situation and what can you be doing to allow that to contribute to, if you're spending, if Wednesdays are your coach call day, what can you do to make sure that physically and mentally you're staying really, on point, and how does your physical desk setup contribute to that, and what could you be doing on that circular joint training and eye training to contribute to that? Like that's a whole separate podcast you should do.
No, right? Absolutely. Well, I'll keep that in mind. I'll do that for one of my solo episodes and I'll shoot it over to you. That's great. Thank you for asking, Bari. What's that?
I said, when you do, ping me and let me know.
I will. I absolutely will. So tell me this, Barry, have you ever, actually, you know what? Let me back up. How do
Yeah,
you feel that the self-care efforts of your hosts affect their tangible results of things like making bigger sales and increasing their bottom line at events? Can you connect the dots? And I feel like we kind of did this in the beginning of the interview, but I just love you to say it for all these entrepreneurs who are listening. How have
yeah.
you seen the physical health of a host affect the bottom line that's happening at an event?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things I was kind of, mentioning earlier is that for most of our hosts, our event hosts, they are making some form of an offer at their live event to allow people a continued opportunity to connect with them. So we know so often at live events why people are showing up is they want accountability, they want community, and they want some form of enhanced opportunity. They want it to be easier for them to make money and realize their big vision. And at Sage, we call that ACE, ACE, accountability, community, and enhanced opportunity. So almost always at our live events, not only are we working really hard to create accountability, community, and enhanced opportunity, but we're usually making an offer that allows people an extended opportunity to be able to have access to that through the host and their team. And so if we're making an offer like that, again, we have a model and a formula that we use, but so often it's going to be the afternoon of day 2, the morning of day 3, which is about the time during a live event that attendees start to feel like, oh, I've got so many great ideas. There's so many amazing things I could do, and I could implement immediately when I get home, but I worry about getting home and getting sucked back into not having accountability, not having community, and not having a sense of enhanced opportunity. So when that problem comes up, we make that offer and allow them the opportunity to access that through the host coaching and training program. And for a live event host who is not in their best physical shape, you've now been through you've traveled to the live event most often. You've been through a pre-event day where the team is meeting and getting all their ducks in a row and putting their plan together. You've gone through the entire day 1, which is going to be, 8 to 9 a.m. start time, 5 to 6 end time for dinner. You're either then going into a reception or going into another evening session that night. So your day is an easy 12, 15, 16-hour day. And then you go into day 2 and you still have day 3. So when you're getting into, you put that amount of time in coming into the event and you've been working hard before the event, and then you're now hitting day 2, and this is your most important opportunity to make an offer to an audience, an offer that most likely you've been working on for 6 months to a year to deliver. It is critical that you are feeling your best. And trust me, we can absolutely see it on the conversion rates. A host who is feeling their best. And, it's not just, oh, I showed up to the stage looking good. I mean, so many of our hosts are really focused on the outward appearance, my hair, my makeup, the wardrobe that I have. Certainly that's a part of it, but that's all the superficial stuff on the cover, right? That's what people see on the cover. Underneath all of that is the energy that you're bringing and your ability to mentally focus on the message you're delivering. And if you are not feeling your best, and if you are kind of, basically what we say, living on fumes, it is really hard mentally to connect to the message that you're trying to deliver. I mean, our mental fatigue absolutely is connected to physical fatigue. And so if you have not prepped and you have not come into the event, the easiest way to say it is feeling your best. But what I'm really saying by that is having done your health audit and really having taken care of your physical self, your mental self, your emotional self, and your spiritual self. It is really hard to get in front of an audience of, for our host, 400, 600, 800, over 1,000 people, and be able to connect to a room that big when you're not feeling your best. And again, you cannot start that the day before. You cannot be like, okay, it's 2 days before the event, I'm going to start getting hydrated. While that's important, this is really a way of life. And if there's one thing you take away from this podcast, it's this thought that we have that you're committing to #event life is you're committing to a way of life. And that way of life has got to include health and fitness. It's, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual fitness. And if you're not making time for that, there's no doubt it's going to show up at a live event, and there's no doubt it's going to show up in your sales. Your conversions will be lower if you're not in a good place.
You heard it from the expert. See, I can say this stuff as much as I want till I'm blue in the face, but to have you say it to our audience is amazing because you've seen the best of the best.
Well, I was just going to say quickly, sorry to interrupt, but I honestly believe that it's probably as much as a 10% jump in conversions. When we see a host that goes from taking it as a hobby to taking it as a profession, from kind of dabbling and being their best self to committing to it, you can see as much as a 10% increase in their conversion rate. So when you're talking about the kinds of programs that, we're offering that are $10,000, $20,000, $35,000 each, that's real money. And so it pays you to be your best physical, mental self. You want to bring that because it's literally converting to real dollars. Like how well you're showing up on site literally is the difference between whether you're going to make good money or great money.
Oh my God, that was gold. Thank you. Holy moly. Well, first, what I've learned in that is I'm not charging enough, A. But B.
Sure, I believe that.
I'm teasing.
I've been watching you for, we were just talking about how long we've known each other at the beginning of the podcast, and I will never forget the first time that you showed up at that live event as a sponsor. And, I can tell you out of a sea of sponsors, I think at that particular event, we had 15 tabletops in a foyer, and Kristen shows up, and she is literally like this beam of energy, just like radiating light and energy. It was palpable, and it literally drew people to her booth because you see someone like that who's radiating, physical fitness and beauty and energy and just this kind of wholesome clean. And it's a magnet. People are attracted to that because, if you just do a little mental inventory right now, if you go to the grocery store, if you go to your last live event, if you go to Facebook, if all these different places where you're interacting with people in your lives, how many of them do you see and you think, wow, I love their energy. I love the way they look. I love how they're showing up. I feel like they always just look and feel great. I'm guaranteed that it's a very small number of people. And the reality is a lot of us are not committed to physical, spiritual, mental well-being, right? And so it really shows up and not just on your skin, but how you walk into a room and what your presence is. And, much like Kristen, it will draw people to you. So, I've seen this work for her. It literally, out of a sea of people, when she walks into a room, you feel it. Like there is literally an energy that she radiates. And I think it is absolutely, for you, Kristen, I think it is a result of, what you've committed your life to. And obviously this is your business and your profession, but even before you grew into this latest successful incarnation of you, from the very first time I met you, you had that. And I think it is a really attractive quality and not one to be easily overlooked if you're getting into our business. So cannot recommend you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, say that again.
I just said I cannot recommend you enough. Like if any of you are out there listening to this and you're thinking, I'm not bringing my A game and I'm not doing everything I could do, your next call, email, Facebook outreach should be to Kristen to see, how can you work with her and find out what she's doing and how she's doing it so that you can make it part of your regular day-to-day practice.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm just going to put you in my pocket. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you. That was so sweet. I really appreciate your kind words, Bari. And by the way, and I was just about to sing your praise because it's the same when I see you. It's consistency and professionalism and integrity across the board. And just to hear, what you're coaching your top producing event clients on, how you're coaching them to really be mindful of what they're doing, not only, the week before, but 6 months in advance. I mean, really shows that you're coaching them in just really pristine way. So I appreciate that you're doing that. And yeah, for anybody who's looking to host a live event, I mean, you need to call Powered by Sage. You need to call Sage Event Management. Their website's poweredbysage.com, correct, Bari?
Yes, correct. And thank you for that. I appreciate it. We have a mutual admiration society going on. But I think part of that is that we've been together, for a number of years and this, circling around each other in the event world. And at the end of the day, you kind of realize it's a pretty small space. Like the people who are dominating the event space, it's a pretty rarefied group. And, they don't get there by mistake. It's not by accident. It's a lot of hard work. And it's important to surround yourself with the best people. And, it's like you think about a celebrity, someone who, recognizable name or face in Hollywood. They don't get there by themselves. They've got the publicists, they've got the agent, they've got the trainer, they've got, all these things. It makes a huge difference in them being the best at their game. And if you're thinking about being an event host and you want to make really big money and you want to have really big impact, you really have to approach this as a lifestyle and a profession and the day-to-day. And I love the word consistency that you mentioned. The consistency of that routine is critical. So that it's not something you turn on and turn off. It's actually a way of life for you. And it's easier when it's a way of life. I'm going to turn on my workout self. I'm going to turn on my good eating self versus actually just living that. You'll find over the long haul, it's easier to embrace it and live it than it is to kind of dip in, dip out, dip in, dip out. You'll be better for it, and you'll see your business be better for it, and you'll see the people connected to you be better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you stop negotiating with yourself about whether or not, which is taking a lot of brain creative in your business, in my opinion, and you just do. So that's perfect. Thank you for that. You know what? That's such a fantastic note to end on. Bari, tell us, where can our audience learn more about your company and the way that you're helping entrepreneurs host these fabulous events?
Oh, well, thank you. So you mentioned Powered by Sage. PoweredBySage.com is our website. You can always reach out to us through that website. We also have our own weekly videos that we put out. You can find us on Facebook as well. And we do like a little weekly tip, like little short videos that are about 4 minutes long that talk about live events in a different way. We approach all different facets of the live event world. And it's our way of kind of paying it forward and making sure that audiences who are interested in either being a live event host or being a live event team or supporting live events have a really good understanding of our industry, what we do and how we do it, so that you can be your best self and you can really bring those same results. So that's the easiest way to find us. And then of course we do about 50 events a year. So if you're like Kristen, you're on the road a lot, well, our paths will probably cross. Always come up to us at a live event and say hello. We're big fans of live events, and I say that from the perspective that obviously we do this for a living. We have a choice. There are easier ways to make a living than doing live events. It's a pretty grueling experience at the end of the day, so you have to love it, and we're really passionate about it. And if there's one thing I could say to your audience who's considering doing a live event, the thing I would want you to know is that there's no better platform for launching yourself into your little world, whoever your tribe is. I say your little world, meaning like who is that niche that you're trying to reach out to and get in front of. The live event is absolutely the difference between being an expert, just another expert, and being the authority, which is the only expert that you want to be following. So the great thing about a live event is like drawing a line in the sand. There's all these other people, and then there are live event hosts. And live event hosts generally are the ones to watch, because it's not a small thing to host a 3-day, to fill it, to get up on a stage with a carefully curated message, to deliver it to your audience, and then use that as a jumping off point to actually get your tribe following you through a mastermind or a group coaching program. But it's the fastest way to build your credibility, to build your audience, to build your profitability, to get people following you, and most importantly, to get them paying you for the incredible work that you want to be known for. So the impact and the legacy component of live event is huge. So if you're out there dabbling in it, now's the time to commit. If you're out there thinking about getting healthy, now's the time to commit. And if you marry those things together, you put a date on the calendar. I will be healthy by this date, and I will be hosting a live event by this date. It's really, really going to make the difference between good money and great money, like we were talking about before. So you don't have to hire Sage. You just have to commit to, now's the time. Like we have the saying, if not you, who? If not now, when? The cool thing about a live event, only you can do the work, and only you can be the event host, and there's no time like today to start doing it. So whether you're going to do a live event for 5 people, 50 people, 500 people, 5,000 people, whatever your big dream is, if you're not doing it right now, you're living in the I want to land instead of the I am land, step over into the I am. Put the date on the calendar, be your most healthy, fit self, and be an event host. It is a great, great hashtag event life. It's a great way to be living your life.
I'm going to start using that hashtag event life. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. Okay. You know what? You're getting me excited. I'm like, I'm going to host my event next week.
You should be hosting your own live event. For sure you should. Put a date on the calendar.
I know. We have to talk about this. You guys, I am so thrilled for all of you that joined us today. Thank you so much for being in our audience. Barry, I can't thank you enough for your time. I know it's so valuable and I appreciate you being here. And for those of you thinking about hosting your live events, you need to contact Sage Event Management. They're amazing. They are at all the big events that I go to personally. And I know they do a fabulous job. Like I said, consistency across the board. And for those of you who are wanting to take your body to the next level, then please reach out to me. You can do that by going to fitforsuccessquiz.com. Again, that's fitforsuccessquiz.com. It's a 4-minute assessment. You'll take it, and then I will contact you to set up a private appointment. All right, you guys, thank you so much again. Cannot wait to be in touch with you further. Bye.
Bye for now.